Oh God, once again, we come into your presence with expectancy in our hearts. God, we know you're going to bless us. So we lift our hands in the sanctuary and we give you glory and honor and praise. Come on, come on. We lift our hands in the sanctuary. We lift our hands to give you. Oh, what a beautiful Thursday. Oh, what a beautiful Thursday. Another edition of the Eco Talk Show. You know, so many things happen today. The country is very, very quiet. We have our guest, Abdul Khanan. He's the chair of the Multi-Rata Congress of Democratic Change. We're going to talk about so many things, the political. There's so many speculation about the CDC. So Abdul will give us his insight and give us his own thought on the entire process today at the legislature. Okay, I want to say thanks there for joining us. My colleague Will is also here making sure that I will bring you all this quality, informative and education balance that you need to have when it comes to the radio. Today, so many things happen at the legislature, especially the speakership election, where we see the rule of law caucus block headed by Chairman Musa Hassan Belete. And we will also dive into the CDC. Some part of last week, it was why in the media, a statement by Mark Jabate having, appearing on one of our sisters' radio station, alluded to the fact that the former president will not contest. So I don't know where Mark took this information from. But let me welcome my colleagues. Will.
Well, thank you. Donald, before the prepare to respond to the high questions because I've been one of those hoping to interact with stakeholders within the CBC because they are formal government and you have the present government, so you need to hear from them what they expect in the Bwaka leadership and what are their plan, what led to their failure to maintain power. So hope he has come prepared and he's observing, including the CDC government, hope the CDC party rather. Hope they are observing what the Unity Party is doing, that probably they think that can give them the hope, the courage to come back.
So up Capitol Hill today, you were there. You witnessed a very charged political center. Mm-hmm. We saw the group of the rule of law caucus when they enter, headed by Musa Sambelete. Mm-hmm. They enter. Later on, hours later, we saw Representative Kuhn, back then Representative Kuhn, mm-hmm. With his majority black entering. As a reporter at the legislature, what did you really observe today?
Well, thank you. I think they are present today. The lawmakers were present. I think they went there to respect the Supreme Court, to respect the decision of the Supreme Court, the ruling from the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court rule. And there was some disagreement, though the majority bloc rejected the ruling from the Supreme Court. A little defy a re-argument, and I think so far, I think the re-argument is still index because when I spoke to one of the lawmakers, he said it's up to the court to hear it or not. But again, in terms of moving the country forward, in terms of working in the interest of the Nigerian people. You put away your personal gains, your personal interests, right? In all that they do the country first. So what I saw today was a clear demonstration of a formality. They just went there for formality, but
Okay.
I think they maintained their numbers, though there was some betraying part in the entire process. Some Liberians thought those who were part of the rule of law caucus, like Romeo Kuya, representing Romeo Kuya, the likes of Priscilla Cooper,
Emmanuel Dam.
Emmanuel Dam. These are people, some of the Liberians or even their supporters or their colleagues from the minorities have thought they could come back because they were they were in the vanguard preaching for the rule of law, right? So probably in legislative politics, right? That's why I always told people you don't trust politicians. Even if most ability could win today, you couldn't have to trust politicians because you don't know what could happen in the backyard, but you come in the forefront to defend them. And the staffers at the grounds of the legislature, they need to be very careful. They need to avoid themselves from these people politics. Because when you look at it from the beginning, Joseph, there are hits among these staffers. Some of them are not speaking to each other. Some of them, they are keeping grudge because of what has transpired between their bosses.
And
Right? You can put yourself just after the election, you saw them they start to hurt themselves, and in fact, this election that has ended, right? You will see them; they will come together, though there will still be disagreement.
and again, well, other may say that ground is a political ground.
Mhm.
So Stavo themselves want to be active into
But you don't
what
take it personal.
what affect the country, what affect their own well-being. Bear in
Yeah,
mind,
but you don't take it so personal that you go to the extent fighting and being so abusive, right? That alone could maybe tomorrow, where in case a boss man is not there, you don't have the face to go even the next person. That's why in politics, in friendship, there are certain things I don't do. Yeah, there are certain things you don't do because tomorrow you don't know what's going to happen. So
so
they just need to be careful.
so lastly, before we get to our guests, did you ever thought in mind that Representative Musa Hassan Binti was going to be elected by his colleagues as Speaker of the House of Representatives?
Well, uh, if you ask me as individual, I would say yes. He could become a speaker.
No,
Mhm.
my question here
Mhm.
is, did you,
Mhm.
if you had any thought in your mind that playing with these games, number games, we
Mhm.
know that's the house.
Yeah, so here is it, right?
Yeah.
At the House of Legislature, like I said, you don't trust people. Kofa uh, being removed today, most of those who were his allies, they betray him, right?
Mm-hmm.
People believe they betray him.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, in my mind, representability
Mm-hmm.
will become speaker if they could still play that number game because in the election process there are negotiations,
Sure.
right? Speaker Rechekun negotiated. That's why he had the 43 or 46. Representability negotiated. That's why he got 26. I think there was no enough time given for them to. But I think if they could still continue playing that number game, it could be a different thing for um, Speaker Richie Kuhn because you don't overlook Mr. Ability. You don't overlook him, especially in the political arena and at the House of Legislature, where sometimes financial fair play comes in, right? You don't overlook these things. So, in my mind, I thought, and even this, let me just boss it up. when representability came out and said he wanted to become representative, I told someone that once ability becomes representative, he will contest for the deputy speaker and he will contest for the speaker position. And exactly my prediction is coming to life.
Yeah, and there are a lot of mixed view within the street comments among politicians themselves that Benedict cannot be trusted because looking at the same, Benedict went up to the Liberal Party. He was able to tear the party apart, not from me, but from Valparaiso who see politics from another arm. Benedict went within the CPP and tried to get the CPP to a location, and men felt that Benedict cannot be trusted because this man contested for the deputy speaker position around right after the election when they were inducted, and he lost. Today again coming contesting as for the position of the speaker, losing again for the second time.
Yeah, so mind you, the Unity Party supported Benedict at the time he was contesting as deputy speaker.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And if Benedict could have been trusted, I think the people of Nimba could have given him their position, the representing position, right? In politics, probably people, once you are not in the line of this person, you say different things, you think different about the person. So I won't mind when people say ability is not somebody to be trusted, right? If ability was not somebody to be trusted, mind you, Unity Party at certain point in time wanted his support. Mind you, the same people who castigated him saying he's not somebody to be trusted, they needed him at certain point in time, and they will still want him at certain point in time. So I don't take these people's statements serious because they come on the side, they talk this, they go on the other side, they talk this. When time comes, they come to support you. When time comes, they say they don't want to support you. So the issue of trusting politicians is something I want people to forgo because they have their own different understanding, especially when they are in the position. But when they are out of the position, you have that belief that whatsoever they say, they're going to come true.
So Will, do you see that right after this election, things will come to normal? There will be a unifying house, or are you still sensing that there will still be a little scuffle somewhere?
So just to that, right? Uh, Speaker Richard Kuhn and the executive branch, they promised all of these guys, the 43 lawmakers, right? There were some promises, there was some negotiation before they could even go to the election today. They promised them, they gave them whatsoever. And if they cannot continue these things, right, there is still a need. There is still a need for uh, uh, his colleagues expressing their frustration and vote of no confidence. So if if Speaker Richard Kung can maintain whatsoever he has been doing for the majority, yes, he can continue in 6 years. If he can, including the executive, if they cannot continue what they were doing for the executive, because the entire speaker removal, you can tell me the executive was not involved. They were involved, but probably they were underground. So if they cannot continue already, right? Already have people who quit to sleep. There are some people as soon as they see this on the other side, they sleep there, they go so they are not consistent. Work of those in the House of Legislature, they are not consistent. So people who are not consistent and you promise them certain things and you're not doing it, right? They're going to go back. So I still see a change, a space where some members within the House of Representatives can come back and say they don't want Speaker Richard Kuhn. They say a need that they can do so.
Okay, thank you. There. Let's go over to our guest. I want to say, Abdul, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Joseph. Let me say good afternoon to you and Will. I'm glad to be here. It is a pleasure to be on your platform so that we can share views so that we can cross pollinate ideas for the betterment of our country. This is unique in our generation. Our disagreement have been verbal. Uh, we are retreating into the bushes to come and express our disagreement. So being in your cruising studio at about this time is a pleasure. I appreciate your invite. That's why I'm here. And let me again say thank you for the organization. Thank you for the work that you do. For content today, I saw you at the Capitol moving around looking for the news. That is excellent about you. Let me say continue. This is a job that is not paid for in Liberia,
Sure.
where you people sacrifice and the institution leaders get rich. But again, your passion to the job is unique. Let me say thank you very much.
Okay, you are at the capital today in a very, very high gear, expecting your expectation was there, expecting that Representative Musa Hassan Belete was been elected today as the Speaker of the 55th Legislature, but things went on the contrary.
Oh, that is democracy. There are two things we got from the capital today, and we need to understand that. Uh, Respect for the constitution was adhered to. Uh, democracy, democracy was being restored at the capital. Uh, these are arguments we proffer during the impasses on capital now. Let people respect the rule of law. We want you to respect the rule of law. Once you can respect the constitution, we have no issue. So, number one, they argued before that they held the speakership elections. Today again, they have another one. A person that purported to be the speaker resigned to contest. It's a drama. That was a dramatic scene at the Capitol. And you if we were to be very serious in this country, the current speaker wasn't going to contest. He was going to be beyond bar for fraudulently presiding over the national budget and taking salary as a speaker that does not belong to him. But again, we have passed that bridge. Democracy won, the constitution won, and that was our email objective that people respect the rule of law. Because in a country without the respect for the rule of law, that country will be chaotic. So today, yes, indeed, I still believe that Speaker Kun shouldn't be a speaker because he doesn't have that charisma as a leader to be the chairman in command in the country. But
Yeah.
again, that is the respect for democracy. So we congratulated him because this process was constitutionally presided over. They implemented the constitution. The section that has to do with electing a speaker was adhered to, and we saw democracy being alive at the center stage at the Capitol Hill. So that alone gave applause. So we say hats up to the rule of law lawmakers who stood firm over 6 months with all the strangulation, all the marginalization, season of salary benefits. They stood firm on the side of the rule of law. So today they are heroes and heroes. So we say thank you to the team, and I mean appreciate the former speaker for standing on the side of the law, for making the constitution to be above men. We know the country is the country of constitution, country of law. So men wanted to make the country to be the country of men, but there were men that stood up, led by Honorable J. Funadi Kofa, to defend the side of the law. And today, the law have won. Everything we saw that they even challenged that it was not going to happen, they did it today. So victory for the the rule of law and victory for the constitution. The Liberian people has won.
So, Abdul, right? Before going to my colleague, Will, from the onset of this thing, there are many still believe that your party, the CDC, had a greater role in playing removing the speaker. You have at then the deputy speaker who was from your party playing a role in going to the majority. We have other lawmakers from your own party, and now CDC want to be to a point where they were not involving into the fight. What was your instruction, the party instruction to your lawmakers?
So, Joseph, we are still trying to gravitate from individualism to institutionalism. When you look at the politics in Liberia, most of our politicians only respect the political institution that they are part of during elections or before election, the right election in every period. The moment they win, they decide to become hostile. Only few can say, no, I will nobody, and the institution may be somebody. So they may stand, and the few that stood on the grounds to stand with the former speaker. As a party, what was our role? There were a series of press conferences. We held meeting with them, physical meeting, instructed them to return to status quo ante, and few respected the party and stay on the side the party instructed them to stay on, and others decided to move on. Now, there are many people that say, oh, CDC, all the CDC lawmakers, they went to the people's side. But mind you, now we are not in electionary period. They were not listed. Most of these lawmakers took loans from commercial banks to run campaign and other things. So they are indebted to commercial banks. So most of the guys that decide to play stubbornness towards the party instruction or call, they did so because of money. And I can say that to anybody. They did so not because of integrity, not because the lawmaker or former speaker was not governing well. They did so because of some personal gains. Today, the institution, to tell you that the institution was very clear about her support to Councillor J. Fonati Kofa, we took a decision, a very critical decision. We expelled the current deputy speaker, who was serving as vice chair for operation of the National Executive Committee. We expelled him and suspended the other few, thinking that our actions
Was going to
were going to send similar in them. But then, for every time we even ask them, they can say, no, we're not listening. You have to expel all two because we are still far away from elections. So the CDC position was very clear from the onset of this delicate impasse at the Capitol building. The party have always supported the former speaker. We supported the former speaker to the end. But again, individual difference. There are normally people say it's good to place ideological and philosophical believer of the institution on the party ticket. When you do that, you will be saving the institution because that group of people don't need the institution to tell them to do so. They already believe in the institution. When the institution come up with decision, they will stand with the institution decision.
Yeah, Abdul. There are many people who still concerned. Because what was the role of the former president? The former president took almost close to 3 months in Ghana when this entire impasse began, and he was not ready evolving to it, and until it reached to a point where the former speaker lost Kuwor. Before we saw the former president leaving Ghana, coming to Liberia, and on that same day, calling all those lawmakers that was related to CDC to a meeting. What was the role of the former president?
So if you monitor the former speaker, he told the world yesterday Because listen, let me tell you something. The current ruling party is not focused about governing. They focus on how Jawia live, what the Jawia eating tomorrow. So what they decided to do, they instituted divine rule. Oh, that Jawia won't move for that. Jawia. So the former speaker was clear. He just left from home. Okay, again, that same question.
Yeah.
But true to him, he responded that the former president got involved immediately when the situation. It was the former president that called him. Say you have to come back from the Vatican. There's an issue on ground. You can't be beyond the president and he plotting to remove you. So the former president played a role. People know the former president doesn't need to be physically on the scene to act. He has stayed away and ran campaign for people to 1 year.
Sure.
So when individuals decide to be ungrateful, when ingratitude get impregnated within an individual, they don't listen, they don't even realize what an individual has done for them. So he called, he placed a call, he made statements, he had press conferences, he called for meetings. That alone tells you that he stood with the former speaker, and the former speaker had killed that debate because it was a plan from the current ruling party and its supporters to divide a route to the CDC so that Councillor Kofa can believe that he was removed because the former president never wanted to be speaker.
Now you have almost 10 persons from, or 7 or 8 persons from the CDC. Others believe you failed to convince them. You did not have strategic strategies to convince them to come over. You gave but then Speaker Kofa the number to conduct business. What specific measures was the CDC giving to the members who were in the House of Representatives, especially against the removal of Kofa?
So, like I said, the CDC is a law-abiding institution that respect democracy, that have consistently worked with its lawmakers to make sure that they do the right thing. So the CDC engaged. But remember now, brother, I'm telling you, I just told you here, the CDC will not take right and say, my man, you not come out, will beat you. The CDC will sit back. I mean, when these guys want party ticket across here, not only with the CDC, they will go lying on the floor. It caused them to even take a slipper to walk. You tell them walk in our dump out, get the party ticket, will do it. But when they win on the party ticket, then they decide to add there, they are powerful outside the institution. So the institution did everything. We reach out physically, we reach out through communication, we reach out through press conferences, which is unique within the institution. Still they fail to listen.
Don't you think the quick suspension and expulsion also contributed to the guys' continuous refusal to come over?
But it was not quick. The whole country was concerned what CDC sitting and seeing a lawmaker behaving the way they behaving.
If continuous dialogue with the lawmakers could be the remedy instead of coming up with suspension.
So an institution that presented you to the people to elect you will talk to you over and over again. Over and over and again. And you still sit and say, continue dialogue. You know how long it took? The impasse spent almost 6 months, going to 7 months. We went 90 days into dialogue, and the party still remain adamant. Do you expect the institution, if the public kept accusing, they were accusing finger pointed at the institution. They said the CDC are no, if they're not supporting this, but now the men will be expelled, the men will be suspended. So the CDC had never bowed down to public pressure, but the CDC listening to a supporter. So they took actions to safeguard integrity of the institution.
Don't you think they believe that the former president didn't have the voice or the feelings to the people or to come back to power? That's why they were so adamant to hear him.
Wait. There's no political man in Liberia that is popular as compared to George Weah. I've worked with George Weah for more than 1 decade, 9 years. I know the type of person, character that he has. I know the political magnetism that he carries. So if someone can tell you that George Weah unpopular, they're joking.
I'm saying the face to
No, we got face. Georgia is contesting. We have killed that argument over and over. We're not ready on poster. If the current ruling establishment thinks that he's not contesting, they're going to bear.
If the guys decide to come back to the party, those who suspend, have you uploaded their suspension?
No, the party will take a decision on that. Until the party take a decision, I cannot communicate further.
Okay.
Yeah, Abdul, let's leave the legislature a little bit. We want to do a comparison between former President Weah 1 year, 3 months, and the Bwaka Kun administration 1 year, 3 months. Can you give us an idea, a picture? What were some of the projects that former President Bwaka and former President Weah was involved in, and giving a scale from 1 to 10 and do the comparison between the two?
So, honor His Excellency Dr. George Manneh, we have first 100 days, or let me just say first 1 year. The people of Dole community got elevated. The transition from walking through the swamp road to quota concrete pavement. You honor President Weah 1 year, where the current president now, when you were former vice president, all of the roads in that environment were concretized. Honor President Weah 1 year, we saw free tuition, free wax fee. We saw the transition of manual registration at the state-run university to digital registration. Only 1 year. We saw 8 million from France. We saw the groundbreaking for the 14th Mediterranean Hospital. We saw the groundbreaking for the phase 2 of the Japanese Freeway. Honor His Excellency. We saw 16 medical doctors leaving the country for a specialized training into different specialization. We saw 52 students from high school, just graduating from high school, most especially those who do wax at the time, going for international studies in Morocco. Honor President Weah 1 year, 2,000 health workers who fought to get on the payroll during the early Bwaka regime got on the payroll. Just honor 1 year. Just honor 1 year. President Weah traveled to Japan to appreciate the Japanese government for the Japanese freeway and made a plea for the bourgeois corridor that today the current government is implementing. That while it is true you people finish with the former Somalia Ghana Japanese freeway, giving it 4 lanes, the bourgeois corridor is 2 lanes. To make it unique and beautiful, can you kind of assist us? And the Japanese government took that appeal and granted the Liberian government and put into the process 20 million US dollar from Gabriel Tucker Bridge to Simple Bridge. Just under 1 year. Honor President, we have 1 year. We saw the AFL widows celebrating that they have never protested like it used to be just for their just benefit. Honor President, we have 1 year. Honor President, we have 1 year. We saw the construction of the Riverside Healthcare Center. Honor President, we have 1 year.
Okay. Yeah, Abdul. Before my colleague will, there are lots still believe that within your 1 year, because I'm looking at the comments here, within your 1 year, you had the issue of the 60 billion, you have the issue of the mop-up exercise. Those things were not accounted for, and you had the public going against the former president and but then Minister Toy, because there are many people still the issue of the 16 billion was not accounted for. There are many people still believe that the issue of this mop-up exercise, where we have recordings in our possession where the former minister said he took the money and that they were going for money changer good or money changer good. So there are many still believe that that within your 1 year there were a lot of errors.
So 16 billion.
Yeah.
Who initiated the conversation of the 16 billion? Philip Brown.
Sure.
Who was the whistleblower?
Philip.
Yeah, a hot paper newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And the government constituted an investigative team. That team came up with a report. If anybody say the issue now, it was not laid to rise, that group is the group of supporters from the United Party, because that what they use as a propaganda to come to power. Just under 1 year, this is over 16 billion loss. And printing money is not only unique, or was not only unique to the CDC-led government. Mop up, it is a regular monetary mechanism to solve some monetary issue, most especially when it comes to the exchange rate this now. So if the money was taken and used by individuals that were saying what stabilized the exchange rate, we saw complete stabilization in the exchange rate for almost 2 years. So if the mop up was not perfect, we're going to see how the exchange rate was going to be high.
Yeah, but Adu, we had two conflicting statements between and then Honorable Eugene Nango was serving as the information minister. You had Honorable Toye serving as the finance minister when Honorable Nangwe appeared on one of our local sisters radio station and said that the money was missing, and he had Honorable Toye calling on one of our sisters program saying no money is missing, nobody should listen to Eugene.
No,
how can you reconcile these two?
So it was not conflicting. Former maritime boss did not say no money was missing. The hot paper boss said 9 billion.
Mm-hmm.
So the former maritime boss said no, I was the information minister.
Mm-hmm.
That was 16 billion was printed. So he didn't say 16 billion got missing.
Mm-hmm.
So the former finance minister said, no, I preside over the fiscal affairs or the fiscal arm of government. So we're talking money matter, you're listening to me. So it was just like, okay, I preside over the radio as a talk show. So the reporter from the fee will only bring report, yeah, he has no control over, so there were no conflicting things there. So we're still doing comparative analysis on the two.
Mm-hmm.
So what the regime signature project? The regime can boast of nothing.
Yeah, but there are many still believe that you also inherited some of these.
So we agree. Government, for them,
mm-hmm.
the argument of government or continuity It's not in their shoes. It's not in their DNA. It's not in their dictionary. For us, the project we inherited, the Kuwor Community project was not inherited project. Our signature project.
Sure.
The 14 military hospital was not inherited project. Our signature project. The digital of the University of Liberia was a signature project. The WASFI payment, when we didn't inherit that, was a signature initiative. The free tuition, we didn't inherit that. We inherited the ministerial complex. We inherited the phase 2 of the Japanese freeway. That's why for every time president we have visited those project sites, we made a statement and congratulate and appreciate the former president. Today we have EJS ministerial complex. Who named it EJS? The CDC-led government, in appreciation of the ideas from the former president.
Yeah, the Adam mentioned the 14 military hospital. You already started the 14 military hospital. You completed it, and then former president, we are named in honor of his.
No, you're not getting my point. Yes. I'm saying the 14 military hospital and CDC signature project was not inherited.
You sure?
They never had a plan to even be a hospital for the military.
Okay.
That was a signature project. A project you see. So I'm telling you, everywhere Manasari started, the UP-led government started. When we finished, Manasari were always present during the dedication. This government inherited just the roundabout EW road. It was already completed. But they went to even do dedication. They claiming that they did not even recognize the efforts of the CDC-led government. But that is not our concern. Ono Boga 1 year. Rule of law completed program. No respect for the rule of law. Just Ono Boga 1 year. Only 1 year, you have 10 new positions being violated, abused. Supreme Court ruled in favor of 10 new holders, and he suspended them the same evening after the court ruling. And he appointed people to be acting up to now at RTA. People stay acting.
Yeah, but your government that you supported and still supporting did the same thing.
God want 10 new position that the government violated.
Yeah, the issue of small arms.
Small arm 10 new position was violated.
Yeah, small arms. The issue of how you call it, good governance.
Good governance.
Yeah.
No, boy. I think maybe you're following the path.
No.
At small arm,
you
when did Maswell Griffith take over at small arm?
Who was that? You had the former commissioner James Fumoya. Yeah, James Fumoya didn't it.
No, we didn't violate it.
No, James Fumoya didn't it.
I can name people. That
James Fumoya had 1 year and some months.
Maswell Griffith took over that place after the first year and 6 months.
That's what I'm saying.
So if Maswell will be taking over or 1 year, 6 months, meaning Jim Fumoya and you. Let me just take it back to GSE.
Let me go ahead.
We met the GSE boss there. She ended her tenure. Met the GSE boss. She ended her tenure completed before we even appointed Jackson. But if the government would say the people did the same, then you came with a message, a manifesto say rescue. So you want to be using the past regime mistakes as a means to scapegoat what you are doing? No. You watch right here. You said 285 euro machine. What was the procurement process? How we got to each county taking 19? How can you equate Maserati to River Cess? How can you equate Maserati to Guaporu? How can you equate Maserati to Bomi? Who did the mathematics? Is it because they say 285 divided by 15 counties? or you assign the regime based on the size of the country, population, and the landscape. So you went into a fraudulent deal. When they asked the president said, "One of a good friend, a gentleman agreement." Then later on, he came back. He said, "Double Jaladen will raise the money." Today, then he wrote the horse again that they should try to put money in the budget to procure these 285 yellow machine. So you're violating the law at the executive level. In the whole impasse, the executive play. Somebody said the executive play from the back. No, they were physically seen in the fight. The Supreme Court came down with ruling. The Senate concorded with the Supreme Court ruling and said they were not doing business with the majority. What happened? The president instructed the justice minister to come up with interpretations. And after that interpretation, the Senate again revised a decision and started working with the majority bloc. They took all of the immunities, security detail, everything from the speaker, the legitimate speaker, and passed it over to an unconstitutional speaker.
Okay. So thank you. I listened to you.
So they are trying, let me conclude on the grading. If you were great, the Liberian people, take your microphone in Douala, take it in Rayla, take it, and I want you to start to do it. Start to visit these places where the masses are feeding the pinches. Try to visit those places. So if you were great, President, we have first 1 year, when you grade, you were given 9/10. If you grade, you give him 9/10. If you grade the regime, first 1 year, you give them 1%, 1/10. The one, they took 7 months to remove the speaker. I think I only achievement.
And you want to say something, Will?
Okay. I got a question.
Yeah.
I listened to you, but I want to take your mind back. The issue of audit. Others believe the president here was afraid to audit the past government. That's something he didn't do. And when this current government thing started, and the CDC government, some officials, they said it was solution. My question to you: what was the fear in Mr. Weir at the time for which he did not bother to audit, to investigate the Unity Party government with their office?
The first thing is the president, in wisdom, when he took over, there were huge challenges. The issue, economic issue. You heard I heard the former finance minister one day saying the budget, the revenue envelope had decreased by 300 plus million with the departure of other companies in the country. So those economic burden on the regime, the first thing the president was focusing on, how to get the country back on track in terms of fighting to make sure that we have a stable economy, and when the people start to live better life, the transformation of the ordinary people was the main agenda issue. We have 65
so in 1 year he could not do that, or 2 years or 3 years.
You met a damaging economy, you say 1 year. Why the people get
so how many years you think?
So the government had a plan. Listen, the government had a plan. The government internationally, the whole world was hit with COVID. 2 years. No aid. The first thing under Ebola was strategically for Africans. So the West were pulling in with donation. But COVID, the whole world. So the whole world got stagnated. No development. The world, globally, the world was hit with global economic crisis. So everybody was focusing. You saw some people, they said essential star, non-essential star. In Nigeria, non-essential star, when we are paid, and essential star, 50% of their salary was being cut to fight the COVID. Yet, whether essential or non-essential, your 100% salary hit your account. What you think the government was doing? They were fighting to save the citizen life, stabilize the citizen livelihood, and then allow the issue of audit to be something. Who said the government now issue the audit report? The government now they in a new audit. There were 65 audit reports on the docket.
Mm-hmm.
So you already have it. The government said, okay, let's proceed. We have the plan to implement this audit report. Boom! Ebola, COVID. You fighting to save life. You can be fighting
So
to
after
save life.
Ebola, why is it doing that?
We get into electionary period. So they were playing. You can be into elections, you going for re-elections, then you fighting.
So your fear was
No, it's
that
not-
if you do this, you will not be re-elected.
No, it's not about fear. Everyone focus. This government are in power now. After 2 years, 3 years, everybody will be focusing on elections. So we had a plan to say, look, immediately after election, these are first attempt on the plate to be executed. So if the government think they're serious to fight corruption, then they start to implement the 65 audit report.
The thing your government that
No, it was their government that audited this, that presented this report. So since they're in power now, then they implement it. So the fact that you are cherry picking in the fight, look at what happened to Army Mother. You say Army Mother bought car beyond the city. The government stipulated through law that every government official should not run more than 45,000 cars. So if Army Mother went and bought a car more than that, and you think Army Mother was wrong, you pressure him to resign, but you kept the RRA, the LRA boss, who is double Jala, your nephew, he stay in position. He don't want to purchase the car. So cherry picking or selective justice, when you start to do that, then people will say no, but then you are not honest. Then when you go after other people, we see it as wage hunt. So that where the wage hunting came from.
Okay, so former President Weah did what he could do for the Liberian people, and the Liberian people also believe that he did not take drastic action on mysterious death. Why?
So mysterious death, it has its own definition for different people. Other people think different. If you say they need to take action, every death they were investigated. In the government king, they say, I come in. In the government king, they say, oh, they should investigate the 3 missing boys.
Yeah.
The report they put it out there, it was the report that was presented by the former government. So this government, under this government, are we not seeing mysterious death all over the places? We seeing them. What is their role? What happened to the King George?
Let's go to your role first, then we'll come to.
But I told you that there were investigations.
To the auditors, because the auditors, I think, over 3 years and for such situation, before even going to election, it took probably 3 years before going to election.
But there were
no action, there were no reports.
No, but because if there were no investigation, they had to determine that there were no foul play. There was investigation, and they were released. The family received investigation report. So people try to spin the whole thing to make politics out of it. Look at what happened now. The current ruling establishment thinks they stay campaigning. Let you know our death, they won't bring politics into it.
Okay, that was the voice of Abdul Khalim. You can put in your call on 0770 77572 0770 777 572 or 0888 66 94 30 0888 66 94 30 0888 66 94 30 or 0770 777 527. We've been talking to, or we're still in a conversation with the CDC Mosserado County Youth Chair Abdul Khan. We have our first caller tonight. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you joining us from? Yeah.
when the court was passed, let me say 2021, you know what, I do correct very I do you very well. All the things you took here, I do again, I love it, and love. If you want to come to the ongoing income, the common income, let's take that. Our people are celebrating because all the way of federal thought is to move control. But the people spoke and said, oh, political one, the people, they all put it online. But today, they accepted that all the things were wrong because it went to the issue. And that's what we wanted. Even though I feel that that election was not, I mean, you have to think about it. You was not something that was very, you say that great people very wanted it because of what we expected from this government to do. You got to the government now. It is the same way they will throw everything from the government over, they didn't go for the people. But they didn't do it, they sat there and they say, let's support the game. I know, I want to say, thank you.
Okay, 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 okay. Let's take the next call.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Eagle Talk Show. Let's hear you. Hello. Hello.
You are live. You are live.
Let's see. So you can just
Okay, so you can put in a call on 0770 777 572 or 0888
So while we are waiting, callers, let me just ask you this question. Okay, let's just take this question. Welcome to the Eagle Talk Show. Your name and where you calling from?
Yes, thank you.
Quickly, 30 seconds. Okay. We hope we can meet some of the lawmakers and ask them these questions. So, quickly, a lot of librarians, or most of the librarians, believe the reason why donors were somehow holding on their funding, the government under President Leah was entering the escrow account of donors. Yes, do you have any idea of what was happening for which donors were withdrawing their support from the country?
So, when you said donor withdrew support, I don't know because they go, but President, we have government received huge support from the World Bank, the IMF, other international partner, USA, and other people. So, if you say, no, when the UP had a propaganda group of economic students called themselves CIPA, they projected that the government are going to collapse in 6 months. You know why they said that? Because huge portion of the revenue envelope, around 300 plus million, left the revenue envelope because Omeo left the country. Omeo alone was contributing around 300 plus million into the revenue envelope through goods and services. So the left, that gap is there. So they knew that this government was going to catch tough time to see how best they could achieve that. But the government, through technocrat, somebody through a team of economic management personnel, managed the economy and shame them that Liberia, the T12 were being referenced in Ghana, asking to tell us how Liberia managed during the COVID that they never went short of paying salary.
Yeah, Abdul, we are already pressed for time, and lastly, just squeeze in this one, and we can take your parting statement. What difference? This is how I want to call your day. Be safe. Remember, Liberia comes first in everything you do.
Wala mo, alam mo ba? Show